Most retirees don't run out of money because of overspending. They run out because they stayed in growth mode too long, right when they should have shifted to protecting what they already had. And by the time they realize it, a market drop, rising taxes, or forced withdrawals eat up years of hard earned progress. If you're in your 50s or early 60s, this transition might be the most important financial pivot of your entire life. Hi, I'm Mark Wisneski, president of Southern Incomes. I specialize in helping retirees and pre-retirees turn their savings into reliable income without unnecessary risk or surprises from the IRS. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the three-phase investment plan that helps many of my clients move confidently from growth to preservation to income. If you find this helpful, go ahead and like and subscribe. It helps more people find the guidance that they deserve before making these big decisions. Let's talk about the three-phase investment strategy that can help you grow your portfolio, then protect it at the right time. I call this the growth transition preservation plan, and here's how it works. Phase 1, growth mode. I'd say this is from age 40 to 55. Let's start with the phase you're probably most familiar with, growth mode. This is a stage where you're actively working, saving, and building wealth. You're contributing to your 401k, your IRAs, and maybe brokerage accounts, and you're likely aiming for the highest growth possible. And that's the right mindset at this stage. You're still 10, 15, maybe 20 years from retirement. So the market volatility that you experience, the ups and downs, it's frustrating, yes, but it's not a threat to your plan because you have time to recover. In fact, being too conservative here can actually cost you in the long run. If you need your portfolio to support you for 30 plus years in retirement, you've got to give it time to compound and grow. So in this phase, it's common to see a portfolio that's at least 80% stocks and 20% bonds, or even more aggressive than that. But here's where people get stuck. They get used to growth, they chase performance, and they assume that the same investment strategy that helped them build their wealth will also help them use it. That's a dangerous assumption because the closer you get to retirement, the less time you have to recover from a downturn, which brings us to the next phase, the one most people don't plan for. Phase 2, the transition zone. This is from age 55 to, I'd say, 65. Phase 2 is where things get serious and where a lot of mistakes happen. I call this the transition zone because you're no longer just building wealth. You're preparing to use it. If you're between 55 and 65, this is the phase where timing, risk, and income planning all start to overlap. Let me explain with a scenario. Let's say you're 58 years old with $2 million in your portfolio. You've done a great job saving, but you're still invested like you're 30 years old, mostly in growth stocks. Now, imagine the market drops 20 or 25%. You could lose $300,000 right before retirement. That one event could delay your retirement by years or force you to withdraw less for the rest of your life. This is what's known as sequence of return risk. It's not what you earn over time that matters, it's when you earn it. A bad sequence early on in retirement, even if your average return looks great on paper, can permanently shrink your income potential. So, what should you do in this phase? Well, you begin to rebalance intentionally. It doesn't mean abandoning growth altogether or running into cash. It does mean reducing your portfolio's volatility over time, locking in a few years of secure income so that you don't have to sell everything in a downturn, planning tax-smart withdrawal strategies ahead of time, and lining up income sources like Social Security or pensions with your investment plan. Think of it like you're building a bridge from growth to income. You still want some upward movement, but now you're focused on protecting what you already earned. I often tell clients this is the phase where you don't win by chasing returns, you do win by avoiding big mistakes. It's kind of like the game of tennis, right? Where the winner is a player who makes the fewest mistakes. You are not trying to beat the market anymore. You are trying to beat regret. And that brings us to phase 3, where everything shifts to income and preservation. Phase 3, preservation and income. This is age 65 and beyond. Now we enter phase 3, the preservation and income phase. This is where your portfolio has a new job. It's not about growing aggressively anymore. It is about paying you consistently, predictably, and in a way that protects you from those big risks. Let's go back to that same couple from earlier. Now, they're 67, they're retired, they started drawing down their Social Security, and they need $6,000 a month to maintain their lifestyle. At this point, the question is not how much can we make this year? The question is how can we generate income reliably without draining our portfolio too fast or triggering unnecessary taxes? That means your strategy has to adapt. Here are the 3 pillars of this phase. Number 1, build reliable income streams. You want to create income that you can count on no matter what the market is doing. This might include Social Security, pensions, annuities, if they're appropriate for your situation, interest from bonds or GICs. Those are guaranteed investment contracts, structured withdrawal plans from your investment accounts. I often recommend having at least 2 and maybe up to 5 years of safe money set aside, so if the market drops, you're not forced to sell at a loss just to get by. Number 2, use tax-efficient withdrawal strategies. This is a huge opportunity, but a common trap. Without a plan, retirees often default to taking money from whichever account is easiest, and that can lead to pushing yourself into a higher tax bracket, triggering IRM/AA surcharges on Medicare, paying more tax on Social Security benefits, or depleting those Roth IRA accounts too early. A better approach? Use a blended withdrawal strategy, coordinating distributions from IRAs, Roth IRAs, taxable accounts, and possibly health savings accounts if available. Sometimes it makes sense to fill the lower tax brackets early. Other times, it's smarter to delay the withdrawals from certain accounts to reduce your long-term tax exposure. 3, protect against those big risks. Even in retirement, there are still landmines that can derail your plan. Market volatility, unexpected healthcare costs, inflation eating away at your purchasing power, the loss of a spouse, and the widow's tax penalty that we talked about in another show. How about living longer than expected? As it turns out, one of our people turned 98 last week. That's why your portfolio needs a balance of growth to outpace inflation, stability to sleep at night, liquidity to cover emergencies, and flexibility so that you can adapt as your life changes. The goal of phase 3 is not to maximize return. It is to maximize confidence. You want to know, can we maintain our lifestyle? Are we protected from surprises? Can we leave something behind if we want to? When your plan is built right, the answer is yes, with clarity and control. Now, if you're thinking, Mark, this sounds great, but what if I'm already behind on this transition? Don't worry. You don't have to nail the timing perfectly to build a smart plan. What does matter most is that you start adjusting intentionally before life or the market starts forcing your hand. I work with people in their late 50s who still had portfolios built like they were 25 years old. Then I've helped others in their 60s who are sitting on too much cash, afraid to move. Both are fixable. The truth is, the most successful retirees don't try to guess the market or time their exit. They work with someone who helps them reduce their risk gradually, smooth out their tax bill, turn assets into income, and stay in control even when things change. That's what real retirement planning is about. If you want help building a retirement income plan that works, one that transitions you from growth to preservation without losing control, book a call with me using the link in the description. Let's protect what you've built and help you enjoy what's next.